There are 3 new Freestyle Libre CGMs coming to the market in the US this year. And some are speculating that one will already hit the shelves at your local pharmacy this month. The last CGM we saw from Abbott was the Freestyle Libre 3, but now Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, Freestyle Libre Rio, and Freestyle Libre Lingo are also on the horizon. Let me show you what sets each of these CGMs apart and what obvious upsides there are to each of them. I'm Christelle from Diabetes Strong, and I've been living with type 1 diabetes since 1997, and I must admit, I'm really excited to see all this new tech come to market. Freestyle Libre 3 Plus was announced at the American Diabetes Association's conference in June 2024, and surprisingly, they haven't talked much about it before this conference. So I've done some digging so that you don't have to, and this is what I found. This is what Freestyle Libre 3 Plus looks like, exactly the same as Libre 3. So the size has not changed. I'd hope they make the sensor that sits under the skin a little thinner, but nothing indicates that. I think what most people really like is the improved 15-day wear time. You heard that right. This is a 15-day sensor and not a 14-day sensor like the Freestyle Libre 3. What I find interesting is that the 15-day wear, that's actually not a new thing for the Freestyle Libre CGMs. But again, that's something that's been flying very much below the radar. Libre 2 Plus was FDA approved back in January 2024, and that also has a 15-day wear. But regardless, 15-day wear is still a really nice upgrade compared to the Libre 3. The sensor accuracy has also changed. Accuracy for a CGM is measured in something called MARD, M-A-R-D, mean absolute relative difference. And the new MARD for the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus is 8.2%, which is the same as the Dexcom T7. But, and this might be due to the new MARD being based on 15 days of data, 8.2% is actually higher than the MARD of the Freestyle Libre 3, that was 7.9%. And when it comes to MARD, the lower the MARD, the more accurate the CGM. So this is actually not an upgrade. However, I saw that Dr. An, an endocrinologist that you can also find here on YouTube, has looked at the data for the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, and he concluded that it's actually more accurate in the lower ranges, so when blood sugars are low. Other news is that it's approved for patients 2 years and up, and it's approved as an iCGM. Being labeled an iCGM isn't really anything new. iCGM means an integrated continuous glucose monitoring system, and simplified, it means that it's pre-approved to work with insulin pumps. Since January 2024, the Libre 2 Plus CGM has been working with a tandem insulin pump in the US, and the Freestyle Libre 2 Plus and 3 are authorized to work with different insulin pumps and smart pens in some countries outside the US. So now the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus just needs to actually work with the insulin pumps. It's been announced it'll be integrated with the Omnipod 5 as well as the tandem insulin pumps here in the US fairly soon. But as I understand it, the ball is now in the court of the insulin pump companies, and they need to do the final integration. And there are still many similarities between the Freestyle Libre 3 and the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, such as it's still updating every minute. So for comparison, other systems such as Dexcom T7 only updates every 5 minutes. For the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, you do not need to use an overlay tape. Again, for comparison, Dexcom T7 requires the use of an overlay tape. And finally, you can still use your Freestyle Libre 3 app on your phone with your Freestyle Libre 3 Plus. You do not need a new app. But despite these similarities, you still need a new prescription if you want a Freestyle Libre 3 Plus. So if it hits shelves this summer, and this is something you want, you have to ask your doctor for a new prescription for the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus. I don't know if Libre 3 Plus will cost the same as Freestyle Libre 3, or if your insurance company will cover it at the same rate. You'll have to reach out to your insurance company and ask. But I found this super interesting snippet of information. If you have commercial insurance and your copay is more than $75 for 2 sensors, you can call this number, 844-330-5535, to get a voucher. Aside from Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, Abbott also has 2 other product launches up their sleeves. Those are Freestyle Libre Lingo and Freestyle Libre Rio, that both got FDA approved on June 24th, 2024. And those 2 are a completely new ballgame, mainly because they do not require a prescription. They're over-the-counter OTC products. But that doesn't mean they're the same though. One is meant for people who live with type 2 diabetes who do not use insulin, and one is meant for, well, anyone who wants to try out a CGM, diabetes or no diabetes, so it's a lifestyle product. Let's take a closer look. Let's quickly go over the Freestyle Libre Rio because quite frankly, there's not a whole lot to say just yet. I haven't seen any images or heard any description of the size of the Freestyle Libre Rio, but my guess is that it's going to be the same size as the Freestyle Libre 2. I'll tell you why shortly. The product is intended for people living with type 2 diabetes, 18 years or older, but since it's an over-the-counter product, I'm not sure you have to prove anything. It's a 14-day sensor and it can measure blood sugars from 40 up to 400 milligrams per deciliter, just like any of the other Freestyle Libre CGMs. And that is about all the information that's available on the Freestyle Libre Rio, aside from it maybe becoming available in the US this summer. Okay, so the reason I think it might be the same size as the Freestyle Libre 2 sensor is that it was FDA approved at the same time as the Freestyle Libre Lingo. And that CGM is the same size as Libre 2. But I could be wrong, we'll have to wait and see. Lingo is categorized as a consumer wearable for people 18 years and up. That means it's a product for anyone who's curious about their blood sugars. It's what we call a lifestyle CGM. It's not meant to help manage diabetes or diagnose diabetes. Just like Freestyle Libre 2, it's a 14-day sensor and it measures the blood sugars in the fluid right underneath the skin. But that's also where the similarities stop. Freestyle Libre Lingo does not have a receiver, but sends readings to a coaching application on a smartphone. On the app, you'll have a blood sugar spike count, what they call a Lingo count. And then the goal is to not go over a certain amount of blood sugar spikes by adjusting your food and exercise. It's currently available in the UK, and if you want to check it out, go to hellolingo.com. In the UK, it sells for about £120 a month, so that's $155. So it's expensive. You can see the cost breakdown here. If you do the 2-week plan, you get one sensor for £89, that's around $115, or a 2-month plan where you get 4 sensors, that's £300, it's around $389. And then after that, it's going to be £120, so those $155 a month. My guess is that the price is going to be around the same in the US. Before we talk about other Freestyle Libre resources, I want to show you my membership option. It's a bit like a tip jar, and it's a way for you to support my channel. I've set it at $2.99 a month, and you can of course cancel at any time, with a membership. So aside from supporting me, you get early access to my videos, you get priority replies to your comments, and you get a loyalty badge. You can find the membership button here on the top of my YouTube page. And if you have ideas on what else I could include for members, please let me know down in the comments. Anyway, I appreciate you, and let's move on. I think Freestyle Libre is a good CGM. It's not the one I currently use, but overall, it's really cool to see them expand their product line so fast and so broadly. I mean, it's only been 2 years since the Freestyle Libre 3 got approved in the US. If you're curious about the Freestyle Libre 3, check out my review here. Also, if you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. That way, you'll never miss a thing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.